Look, I mean, obviously, Vermont and New Hampshire are separated by a river. We are close states. But you know what? Secretary Clinton won this state in 2008. Her husband ran several campaigns in this state. When we began this campaign here in New Hampshire, we were 30 points down in the polls, and she was much better known in this state than I was. So simply to say, you know, if we win this thing, it's because Bernie lives in Vermont, yeah, that's just not accurate.
With me now, Carl Bernstein, the renowned former Washington Post reporter who helped crack Watergate, brought down a presidency, also the author of this book, A Woman in Charge. Thank you for being with me, sir.
Good to be with you.
If Sanders ends up winning New Hampshire, but it's not by a wide margin, I'm not talking about the near tie in Iowa, but still, if it's not wide like the polls are showing now, how do you think people will read that? I mean, will they read it as more of a loss for him since the expectations are so high?
I think we ought to just look at what's going on the ground and not try to predict how others are going to read it. He's got to do reasonably well, but there is a huge story going on. I've spent part of this weekend talking to people in the White House. They are horrified at how Hillary Clinton is blowing up her own campaign. And they're worried that the Democrats could blow. That they are horrified that the whole business of the transcripts, of accepting the money, that she could blow the Democrats' chance for the White House. They want her to win. Obama wants her to win. But Sanders has shown how vulnerable she is. These ethical lapses have tied the White House up in knots. They don't know what to do. They're beside themselves. And now you've got a situation with these transcripts, a little bit like Richard Nixon and his tapes that he stonewalled on and wouldn't release.
So, Carl Bernstein, let's dissect that for a moment, right? I mean, your investigation brought down a presidency. You know scandal. Here, so our viewers know what you're talking about with the transcripts.
A lot more involved than our investigation.
Well,
Nixon brought himself down.
Led there. Let's pull up the numbers so voters can see what we're talking about in terms of how much Hillary Clinton was paid for these speeches for the big banks from 2013 to 2014. We're talking about $1.8 million, $675,000 of that from Goldman Sachs. You're talking about the question that Chuck Todd asked her in the last debate this week: will you release the transcripts? Joel Bernstein from her camp said, I don't think people are really interested in what these speeches said. They were on foreign policy, etc. You're saying this is akin to the tapes?
No, what I'm saying is that if she stonewalls on it and does not release them, it enables the Republicans to paint her again into a corner. This is not just a vast right-wing conspiracy that is causing her problems. She has caused herself these problems. The server is not the vast right-wing conspiracy. It's Hillary Clinton deciding that she could put a server in her closet. The same with these transcripts. The same with accepting this money in a presidential year when she knew that she was going to probably be running for president. To the people in the White House that I talked to, it is unfathomable that she did this and has endangered President Obama's legacy. As I say, they are terrified at this point, and they want Bernie Sanders to not do well on Tuesday and Hillary to do well, because if this keeps going like that, they see real problems ahead.
So let's play that. We have a short soundbite of Anderson Cooper asking Clinton about that in the town hall this week, about those bank payments for speeches. Let's roll it.
Look, I made speeches to lots of groups. I told them what I thought. I answered questions.
But did you have to be paid $675,000?
Well, I don't know. That's what they offered. So.
Okay, so I want your response to that answer. What should she have said?
I can't advise her. Maureen Dowd in her column tomorrow calls that answer obscene. I'll let Maureen speak for herself on that. Some of this is unanswerable because it represents such terrible judgment, which is what people in the White House are saying. They're just dumbfounded by this, and they want her to get back on track. How can they help her get back on track? A big night on Tuesday for Hillary Clinton would go a long way, but I don't think they're expecting it.
All right, so let me just paraphrase what she said, right? Hillary Clinton said to Anderson, if you lengthen that out, she said, basically, I didn't know at the time if I was going to run for president. I'd been Secretary of State. I thought maybe I'm not going to run. Carl Bernstein, you wrote the book on her. What do you say?
It's disingenuous. She knew she might. And this has been a problem, I say, in the last pages of A Woman in Charge, my book on Hillary, written before she ran the last time. She has had a difficult problem with the truth going back to the Arkansas years. It's not about outright lying. It's about obfuscation. It's about not being transparent. She is so qualified to be president of the United States. She is so much in the right lane on democratic issues. She has the experience, and yet she keeps tripping herself up. And that is what she did in the last campaign, and that's what she's been doing in this campaign. And she has got to get herself righted, meaning up straight and moving forward. And she might have to show some humility and start explaining that she has exercised some terrible judgment here. I don't know what the answer is for her to do, except to keep going forward. But she's got a big problem here.
So you've got the reporter instincts, and this is in your blood, Carl. Where does this go?
I don't know where it goes. I think the good news is for Hillary Clinton in some ways that Bernie Sanders, a self-described socialist, is maybe out of touch with mainstream America. But what we're seeing instead
that wasn't
is
reflected in
particularly with young people, he is tuning in and touching a nerve in mainstream America, and with young women, which is Hillary Clinton's worst nightmare. In fact, I think you have to go back to the candidacy of Bobby Kennedy in 1968. And I don't want to compare Sanders and Kennedy in some regards, but this is a movement. He's right, Sanders.
Yeah.
He has started a movement, and that too has got the White House very upset.
Finally, before I let you go, one of the themes of this race is pragmatism versus passion, if you will. Let's put it that way. And you got to think back to 2008, and you talk about sort of humility. Let's talk about humanity for a moment and play this very distinct moment from Hillary Clinton in 2008.
And some people think elections are a game. They think it's like who's up or who's down. It's about our country. It's about our kids' futures.
At the moment when she teared up, that was a moment where I think a lot of people felt like they actually saw Hillary Clinton. Will we see something like that from her this time?
The last pages of my book are about her passion for America, her passion for doing good things in behalf of the people of this country, her passion for politics, her passion for issues. And she has that fire. She has that passion. But so does Bernie Sanders. And that's what we're seeing now. And we're also seeing a different time in America. It is possible that she is not in tune with the time of her country and her party. And somehow she has to get herself aligned with whatever this new strain of economic populism. She's got a problem. If she is cozying up to Goldman Sachs and she's got transcripts that she can't release that shows her cozying up to Goldman Sachs, it's a problem. It would help her if she could get those transcripts out there. She talks about her record. Judge me by her record. Part of her record is what she has said to these investment bankers in these meetings, and we ought to be able to know what she said.
Carl Bernstein, is such an important conversation. Thank you very much. And as we go to break.